Have you ever been so captivated by something that you wanted to call somebody and say, "You've got to come and see this"? My in-laws, when they were traveling in Alaska, called us from Alaska and said, "You've got to come." I haven't been yet. There's been a lot of things that I have seen, and I've told people, "You've got to come and see this. You've got to see this." I remember when we had climbed up Mount LeConte in the Smoky Mountains, and we were staying in the lodge, and I was wandering around while my family was reclining and resting after the long hike, and I came upon this little boy who was probably 8 or 9 years old, and he had been at the lodge for several days. And those of you who have stayed there know there's no electricity, not much to do, and so he had taken sticks and built a cage out of twine and sticks. And in one end of the cage was a little door that would open up. And he had a little twine thing, and he was catching birds. So he would put little crumbs down there, and then when the birds would come, he would off to the side, he would pull the rope, and the cage door would go, and he would trap the birds. I'd never seen anything like that. Have you ever done that, Kira? No, but did you know it's possible? I didn't even know it was possible just to take sticks and build your own cage. And so I was all excited, and I said to my family, come and see, there's a kid who's built a cage. Oh, they didn't care. Sometimes that's the way it is. You know, you're all excited and come and see something neat, and nobody really cares. You may hear stories about our Holy Land trip, you know, and we're all excited, and we say, "You've got to go," and you yawn. Oh, that's nice. And you don't care. That happens sometimes, you know. Like the time I went to the circus here in Huntsville, and I saw a man shot out of a cannon. Did you guys see that? Man, isn't that great? And didn't you just want to go do that too? And I told some people, and they didn't care. It wasn't so exciting to them. When Philip invited Nate to come and see Jesus, and Nate learned that he was from Nazareth, and Nate said, "Oh no, can anything good come out of Nazareth? Surely not." Nate knew, you see, because Nate grew up in a little town called Cana, which is not far. It's about 4 miles from Nazareth. And Nate knew the reputation of what happened in Nazareth. In Nazareth, it was just a little bedroom village, really, just a couple dozen families living in Nazareth around this little stream at that time that Jesus was there. This is what we learned when we visited there this last week. And just a couple dozen families, and they lived probably in caves. They were just refugees, immigrant workers, and they traveled out over to Sepphoris to work in this big building program that Herod Antipas had going on to make that the administrative center for Galilee. So all these workers and their families just were gathered in this little place called Nazareth. And you know what happens when people who don't know each other very well go to live in a place. They're just immigrants, you know. They may not worry about their reputation so much, so they may just do things they might not do if they were with mom and dad at home. And so the reputation of that place was not very good. It's a pretty insignificant place. And Nate says, "Oh no, not Nazareth. Nothing good can come from there." Well, you think probably Joseph was a builder, and that in the New Testament we have the Greek word tekton, which we often translate or mistranslate as carpenter, but it means builder. He was probably skilled in stone and wood, and so he and Jesus going over to Sepphoris to help build this city just 4 miles away. The town of Cana was not far from there, where Nathanael was from. And so Philip and his brother Andrew tell Nathan, "Come and see Jesus." Philip and Andrew were from Bethsaida, which was on the Sea of Galilee. They didn't know so much about Nazareth like Nate did. But you know, it's so easy to let our prejudices color what we think people are about, isn't it? What good can come from this person? They're from Hick, Alabama. What do they know? Or they're from, that person because of the color of their skin. They won't have any sense. What can they do? We might be surprised. We may be surprised. I hope we're constantly surprised, as Nate was surprised when he got to know Jesus. When Nathaniel, when he said to Philip, nothing good will come out of Nazareth, Philip said, well, just come and see for yourself. Come and see. And that's what he did. When we get to know people, when we come and see them, when we get to know them, when we spend time with them, it's better than just an educated guess, or just a guess when we don't really know someone. When we personally get to know people, we kind of get to know whether they're selfish or whether they don't really care about other people. We get to know whether they tell the truth or whether they just lie and are deceptive. When we get to know people, we know whether they're really just interested in getting something from God or if they want to be on God's team doing God's work. When we get to know people, we get to know whether they're bitter and stuck in the past or whether they are forgiving and joyous, living for the future. We get to know whether they're greedy or giving, whether they look out for themselves or whether they like to look out for the needs of others. When we get to know them, we know whether they are fun to be with and life-giving or whether they're life-draining and they're not much fun to be with. None of you are like that. Somehow Jesus got to know Nathaniel by observing him under the fig tree. On the front of the bulletin you have a picture of Nathaniel under the fig tree.